The focus on Taeyoon might be big. And I know, Yanni, something we were talking about in the break that you brought up, you felt like even though it was a loss for JD Gaming, actually took a pretty big step forward in terms of dinging the Team WE champ pools.
Yeah, you know, you see Pantheon gone. So some of Monki's most played are off the table. The Talia, which was Karis' most played throughout this entire season, off the table. We saw even in this last game when Taeyoon got focused out because they saved him for the second half, he was already getting to near the bottom of the barrel of 80 carry picks with Corky getting picked up. I'm curious to see if WE is going to go for an earlier 80 carry pick this time around as Rise is locked in first for JDG.
Rise really rising up in priority throughout playoffs, and gonna have to see if Karis can find something. Usually you take a little bit of zone control against Rise, where he does struggle with range. You also have the option, so like a Victor is the classic answer. Also with the Kaisa showing very early and blinded by Taeyoon, option to go for something like a Galio into Rise where you actually are able to make early plays. Rise of course does outscale, but I do like Kaisa Galio a lot. Always nice to have some space being able to be created, as I don't think we're going to see Galio quite yet. Of course, a lot of junglers could be power picked. With Trundle banned, I do think that Xin Zhao goes up in priority just a little bit. But Monki going to take this Wukong that's really found a re-emergence in playoffs with how teams are prioritizing it. And I got to say, I mean, it scales really well. You get a lot of playmaking. And, of course, that just having the W, like, I'm thinking about the Pantheon outplay button being the E versus the W on Wukong. Wukong is so much more valuable being able to cheat terrain like that. So we'll see what Monki can do with it.
Yeah, as you said, making a comeback. It was a split one staple, but has fallen off for a bit. We see the Gwen lock-in for JDG, so they get their power pick solo lanes. I'm curious to see if we'll go for an Nefiri here. It feels like Xin Zhao is a much better pick, even though Nefiri combos better with Rise. You just have more utility later on to enable your solo laners for ganks, as Jax is going to be the answer here for Team WE. Against the Gwen, against the Xin Zhao, seems really good.
Yeah, after the last batch of changes, I think the Jax-Gwen matchup, like the first batch of changes for Gwen where she was just like Thanos OP, okay, she won the Jax matchup now. That was a problem. After they brought her back a little bit, do feel like that's back to being a pretty skill matchup slash maybe just a little bit Jax favored. Of course, though, Jax playing out of the Xin Zhao too feels especially good, as that's a jungle matchup we get sometimes with Jax being used to counterpick. And I gotta say, I'm not expecting any craziness with Wukong top. I think it's gonna be in the hands of Monki, but of course, do want to at least put that one out there. Is of course also the Galio that we teased going to be taken away, whereas the Xayah ban, like that a lot for Team WE. Take away the Xayah and the Zeri to help out the Kaisa.
So I'm very curious to see what JDG ends up going with in the bottom lane, especially because Kaisa can be a little bit of a weak laner. We've seen Kaisa and Nautilus be a typical pairing, and Nautilus is the most played out of Vampire. I'm curious to see if JDG will pick Nautilus as their final ban.
They should pick mid here. I'd be surprised they don't pick mid. Rakan taken away to Rakan plus Wukong, really good combo. Also ability to maybe play the top side a little bit more. I think it's, you know, do we see a Victor here? Because if we play Victor, we're signing up for playing really slow. I don't love the Ahri into Rise matchup. Of course, you do have ability to execute with the Wukong, so it's going to be about the knock-up into the charm. But Rise gets tanky enough where it's kind of hard to one-shot and can actually win out on the 1v1 and step up and get your ult in the side lane. So this isn't my favorite matchup, but of course, this is more so being picked to pair up with the Wukong and whatever support Vampire wants as well.
Really like the Lucian lock-in here coming in for Peyz, and Braum will come through as well. Is just a good combo, but having this early Lucian for these early skirmishes to be able to take advantage of Kaisa's early weakness should be really big here for the side of JDG. Still awaiting the last pick coming out here. We mentioned earlier, could probably be an Nautilus since it tends to be the combination. It's Vampire's most played. Honestly, A plus B equals C, Cubby. That's what they're going to lock in here. And one thing I want to point out here, this is a big deviation for Karis this game. Last time around, he was given a lot of resources, expected to scale up. This time around, he's going to have to be more proactive early on with this Ahri ultimate, trying to move around in a row.
Look, I think JD Gaming, I really want to keep my eyes on bot lane, because for me, Lucian Braum is a double counter to what we have for the Kaisa Nautilus. Your ability to get those winner, the passive procs, Winner's Bite. How am I freezing with Braum? This is the champ that I should know pretty well.
I love that. I love that pun, by the way. Oof,
fantastic. Yeah, my concern is that JD Gaming, they don't have great main engage. it really is just a Realm Warp or a Xin Zhao going in. But I think the ability to play with the Winner's Bite with the Xin plus Lucian, it's quite tough to deal with if you are Team WE. Meanwhile, for Team WE, their ability to go over the top and to try and find the backline with the Wukong, Ahri, and Kai'Sa is big. Gonna have to keep our eyes on Taeyoon to see if he can pick his right spots, but also survive this laning phase where I really feel like the JD Gaming bot lane is heavily advantaged.
Yeah, he's gonna need to, because we've seen this guy on Kai'Sa. Despite being Korean, he does have the LPL Kai'Sa gene that a lot of LPL AD carries have. He has had some of his best work on this champion to get Team WE over the top. I just worry about the power, the superpower that JDG have put in their solo lanes. And, you know, it's not going to be as easy this time around for Team WE. It's not as simple as, hey, you've got a favorable matchup with your Rumble up top, right? You do have some favorable matchup with the Jax, but obviously things are a little bit different. But this mid lane, again, going to be very, very key, Cubby, as we head on to Summer's Rift for Game 2 of this best of 5.
I mean, pretty even chance here for the home arena of
JDG. I think Team WE were a little bit. We heard a little bit more out of it.
I think it was mic placement, Yanni. We'll give it to that. But I'm with you. It was close.
The fact that JDG is not, you know, it's not rocking for them is a concern, you know, if you are a JDG fan, because that means everybody's like, oh no, JDG is doing JDG things again. Scout is not doing Scout things from years past, but is instead 2025 Scout, which has been a big disappointment, I'd say. But, you know, maybe it's just a shift in philosophy, it appears. This is a guy who used to never be afraid to take a 1v1. He never met a 1v1 he really didn't like, but has now tried to play a little bit more stable and secure for his jungler Shun, and kind of be the brain a little bit more. And, you know, while, you know, the shot calling feels like it's not there all the time, there's the out-of-game stuff that does happen to be there, but we need to see more on the Rift out of this guy.
I just think that this team is, like, suffering from desync, really. And Scout's definitely been a part of that, and, you know, slightly a contributor to some of the issues that we've seen from JDG. But it's not just him. Do you want to say in the bot lane, I always look out to see if Braum takes Fauna Life with Lucian. When you're playing melees with Lucian, you take Fauna Life and actually proc his passive with his W, which is really powerful. Really important to, like, Lucian's damage in the 2v2. Did not opt for that this game. Did take the free boots, though, with the Spellbook. So we'll see what Missing can do. Spellbook, of course, on the Braum can bring you a lot of really nice utility. As it looks like this is a lane that we're starting to play a little bit more later on in the split season for JDG. It's, of course, only 2 Lucian plays and 1 Braum play for the bot lane. So we're going to have to see if they can step up in this one.
Yeah, I like that. Lucian's come on a little strong. I'm a huge Lucian aficionado, so whenever I see him in a game, I'm pretty happy, man. You know, it's a good time. You know, as well as I do, that I love this champion. Over on the other side, we take a look at some of these picks. I mean, Taeyoon and Vampire, this is stock standard for these guys. But Monki and Karis, Monki on the namesake Wukong, 0-3, not really doing so hot. Let's manage to find the Sun on the Vampire. You're going to get a little bit of extra damage in with that Peyz.
Yeah.
Go and get your autos in.
And that's kind of how the trades look in this lane, as you just cannot put down enough damage to actually get through Braum. And then Lucian able to really, with the combos, pump out so much more. So I am concerned for the bot lane for Team WE. I really feel like JD Gaming are going to be heavily advantaged given Champ strength here. As Cube just burned a lot of his tools, and there's a Xin Zhao coming his way. Shun going to finish up his blue buff here. Was actually fading top. Return to his buff. As both junglers were, of course, working bot to top, so we might have a little bit of a skirmish here over this top crab.
Yeah, it looks like Monkey's going to get there
smite
first.
burned. Yeah, okay. It's a double smite clear for each.
Oh, nice ward there. Nice ward. So
advantage.
Junglers
Scout
are well aware what's going on. Karis is moving over, but he's lower on HP. Monkey takes a little bit of a
Monkey is a smite up first.
Meanwhile, the bottom lane, we're actually fighting. Taeyoon is 1 auto away from getting procced on right now. They do land the stun on the Vampire. Now they're looking for the re-engage, the heal, and flash trade.
I'd say worth for JD Gaming so far.
Yeah.
As we did see Cube actually get his base off. He's going to TP back.
Oh, I love this.
I mean, if he can get a dash out of Awa, I'm curious if Monkey cancels. Yeah, I would just Q his face and see if he dashes. Okay. Yeah, it's going to force him to step away. Alva's going to likely be forced to match that TP too. Also worth noting, did opt for the Ignite, so a little bit more lane focused. Trying to cheat some kills over on the Jax.
Over on the bottom side, it is a slight lead for Taeyoon and Vampire. Nothing too crazy.
They froze the lane. Yeah, there's an opportunity
issue
for Shun to actually get in here. He has yet to base, so getting in here would be risky, but this actually might draw Monki down. If Monki were to come down and actually interact here, in the 3v3, just given that Monki has a base, and there's no base yet for Shun. Oh, hold on. This could be dangerous. If Monki gets here in time.
Okay, good hook going down onto the Braum. Missing, getting a little low there. Peyz will trade back, get good damage in, but again, this wave is still in the spot that it's in.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see Shun, he saw Monki, just instantly stepped away. As we're kind of playing a game of chicken of who can base here. I think WE really trying to base first, though, because if they get back on the map after their first base, they can actually look at this dragon. So watch where Monki goes after the wolf camp. I think this might be important.
Yeah, very favorable here for WE. Their bot lane, we're really expecting them to be behind the 8 ball. And whatever you can do to prevent Lucian from getting super far ahead in the early game is a big positive. That is one thing that's different about this JDG composition, though, is not only do they have the early threat through this Lucian, through the Xin Zhao, but they do have the late game threat that they really didn't have in the last game. And that's something that is going to be really important for WE to try to navigate.
Yeah, not going to see a look at the dragon quite yet for Monki. As, of course, we're seeing if he would go for that. Of course, the bot lane base did come out first for Taeyoon, who actually looks to be going not for the crit build, more so for the on-hit build on the Kaisa. Of course, you have a couple options there. Likely going to be a Kraken Slayer coming in.
Cube and Ala going to go at it. Ultimate going to be burnt from Ala, and Cube has to hop away. Cube still has his flash available. Will burn it. So down that critical summoner spell, yeah. It's not good.
Ooh.
Good ultimate there, chunking him even lower. Monki does slide in, but Shun is standing by, waiting.
Well, if they were able to spot him.
Wait, they didn't see him. They didn't see him, Cubby. And Cube gets ignited and goes down. It's first blood going over to Ala. Monki trying to do sneaky things to maybe turn this one around, but the snip is there, and Ala gets a double.
That is utterly disastrous for Team WE. As Cube on a carry mismanages his lane and gets outplayed. That last R cast by Ala, I think, very significant. It pretty much meant that the ignite...
hook landed on Lucian.
That's deep, though. Can't follow that.
Yeah. Taeyoon did have to burn his barrier down to half HP as Vampire. Peyz is going to dash forward now as they're really looking to make the play. Scout is on his way down. He's going to run warp his way through. Now he's going to flash right on top of him. Roots up Taeyoon, and Taeyoon will fall to the Winter's Bite. And that are the feats of warfare for JDG.
Great walk and roam by Scout. As you can see, Karis responding to mid-wave, which Alva's going to be able to pick up. And JD Gaming, we were critical of their early game. In game 1, right? They had a comp. We really felt like they had to get off to the races. They wanted to win. Seeing some good stuff here from them off of just, the individual play by Ala in the top side to get that chunk on the cube. The help from Shun, too, to make sure that Monki had to be there to get the wave in. He was there to add, so they found the 2v2. And then Scout able to get out, impact the map. As, second look at this one. Just timed out. Just timed out. Yeah.
Just like Cube, it expired.
Yep. Oh, man, that's really close. It does help, too, that Ala able to get some bonus resistances. Monki not choosing the flash over the snips. Instead, knew he was going down, going to save that summoner spell and try and make something else happen. This Monki does have level 6. And Taeyoon is actually walking mid. We have numbers up on the top side for WE as they're going to start the grubs.
Yeah, just looking to have a takeaway here for JDG solo lanes. Rise and Gwen able to do ridiculous things with those grubs. We'll see when this first dragon gets taken, as that one's still on the map right now. Shun really not too concerned, just going to clear out his top side. Meanwhile, Scout is going to get free time in that bottom lane. And so far, so good here for the side of JDG. And for Team WE, we're still waiting on Karis to do his thing, right? We were talking about how he needs to be the one making moves, but Scout ends up beating him to the punch first.
Yeah, and if I'm in a hindsight 2020 this game already, Yanni, I'm really surprised that they let Braum through. I know that Missing's only played it once, but when you're showing, like, Gwen plus Xin, if you want to play a Kaisa lane, you pretty much have to take an engaged support so that you can play with Kaisa's passive. I think that Braum thematically fits in so well here. So I'm thinking of, your engage is kind of Xin going in, and that's about it, or like a Realm Warp, but being able to proc these Winner's Bites so quickly, it really does put a hamper on WE, again, trying to go over the top and find this backline. When you have to get through that, get through a Gwen, too, who, if you're going to play within the range of those scissors, I mean, always have to be careful about what they can do. I am concerned for WE as we move throughout this one. I think this draft is, again, JDG favored, but this time, as you highlighted earlier, Yanni, they have the scaling.
Yeah, and they're executing better, right? I mean, that play from Shun up in the top side, who was ready and aware that Team WE may have gotten a little bit greedy to try and bail out Cube, played perfectly. And now 10 minutes into the game, they're down about 1,500 gold, and you know, this is a comp that we expected WE to have an early advantage potentially through their mid-jungle duo, and they are the ones 0-1 and 0 combined. Meanwhile, Shun and Scout combined 0-0-3, just making more impact on the map at this time, Cubby. And now it feels like we have to wait for just Taeyoon to, like, hey, we're going to get a couple items on Taeyoon. It's going to be a big mountain to climb because JDG scaling so good, but maybe Taeyoon can make another miracle happen on this Kaisa.
I mean, the other thing for WE this game, Yanni, is that it feels like they self-counterpick themselves a few times to like make sure they can still make the team fight happen. Like, we're taking Nautilus into Lucian Braum, or we're taking Ahri into Ryze. It is so that we can play with the Wukong to make sure the Kaisa can get in the backline and play the team fight. But being down and with no objectives up and this dead time on the map, you see JD Gaming just kind of keeping these waves as far back as possible to force WE to overextend and farm them, and they're just getting punished along the way. As we've seen that with... this is the answer. As okay, we're setting it.
Hook goes down. This
Goodbye.
is a nice play there from Vampire. Well played.
Nice.
And they managed to get Taeyoon a kill. That could be big.
That's how you break the freezes, right? You got to go for the dives. Peyz goes down there. That was well played. I didn't see that one coming. As the observers tricked
Neither
me
did
as I was
Peyz.
sleeping a little. Yeah.
I do want to go back to your point about Team WE's draft and how they drafted for the Kaisa. This is a bigger symptom of the issue that they had in Game 1, where Taeyoon was left with very little left. As Taeyoon has to pop his ultimate, he's going to get knocked up and stunned and knocked up again, and will go down. Oh, a nice play there from the the jungle support duo of JDG.
Yeah, great vision play. Yeah,
just a bigger symptom of an issue.
I mean, they wait for the base to come through, then they attack. That's a huge loss for WE because they used a lot of tools to make sure that they had a positive play out of all that.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And now, with your marksman being down, keep the focus down on the top side, as Shun was able to soak up a few camps and set that Wukong a little bit further behind. Pretty big in that matchup. Of course, Wukong does scale, needs to get rolling. Trade of ults, but Karis no mana. Should be okay for Allah. They see everyone top side, so these guys can kind of play the way they want. Looks like Gwen's just going to continue to soak.
Yep, we have 2 minutes until the next dragon. About 20 seconds, 30 seconds after that, we're going to have the Rift Herald come up here. I imagine that Team WE is going to want this Rift Herald, but I think JDG will be the ones who end up securing it. And it feels so strange to see, you know, what objective they should go for. It feels like Team WE need to get on these dragons to kind of try to make sure they have something to hang their hats on later, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to, Cubby. I mean, this is a very difficult spot for them to deal with. The Scout already coming through with the Realm Warp, forcing the flash out of Cube, so that's going to be a key cooldown down for one of these next two fights.
A little bit of downtime, just waiting for our objectives to get back on the map, but it's going to be time where you're just going to see Scout scale on up as that Rilla working on the Seraphs, and Awa might be a focus. Of course, no ult. Doesn't have access to flash. Well,
that's unfortunate. All right,
I mean,
we have the Cyclone coming out here, and Allah's going to be able to dash away, but he does get hit by the charm. Vampire hooks the wall, but it's not going to be all that bad. Monki gets a big shutdown. Okay. Almost 1,000 gold in his pocket, Cubby.
The depth charge just a bait, you know? Make sure that W gets out early. We're setting up Karis. As I appreciate the Vampire canceled the auto attack. If he took that kill, too, that would have been really the three plays needed to make sure that was the biggest creep possible. Yeah.
Yeah, throw the whole game out at that point, bro. It's so cooked.
Missed that charge, miss hook, steal
take
kill. At least he didn't take the kill. Good job, Vampire. You know, it got the job done, and hey, that kill is going to secure first brick for Team WE.
That would have been an Angel Reese level play, my friend. As,
I like that reference. I like that reference. All right,
I know you do, brother. And maybe a couple of people will get that. Maybe Devin Booker Truther will understand that one. and
we can't be shutting out shatters like that. All right, well.
Hey, listen, man. Sometimes you can. Sometimes you can.
Yeah.
What you can't shut out is that 15 seconds until this dragon comes up here. We're already seeing JDG congregate down here with Shun with missing, clearing out some of this vision.
And hey, 2 positive plays for WE. They've at least closed the gap a little bit. I'm still concerned for them in this game. I think the scaling of JD Gaming just matters a lot more. Like, yes, Kaisa is big late. Yes, Wukong scales. I think Wukong can do some damage this game, but man, playing it a Lucian Braum, I think what Lucian's able to do this game, like, he gets to interact with everything and everyone.
Yep.
And when you have that with a Braum, a Ryze, a Xin, a Gwen that you have to get through, the fact that WE is behind the curve, I think they're really behind the 8 ball. Because this game being even and then being down 2 Drakes
is not
kind of similar to what we were talking about last game with WE on the blue side, who had the scaling, and JD Gaming not being able to play fast enough.
And now we're seeing JDG move all the way up from Dragon to the top side, clearing out more vision here, starting up this Rift Herald. And as we expected, Cubby, JDG taking purchase on all of these objectives, really making life hard for Team WE. So we're seeing teleports come in, so it looks like WE at least want a piece of this fight. Taeyoon is going to have to back up, but everybody's up here. Allah does have teleport available.
That's aggressive.
Vampire going to get to the backside here.
Oh, God.
And Scout is going to root him up. Not a whole lot of damage coming through just yet, but it's starting to get hot and heavy and chunking him down. Monki back on the Rift Herald here as Taeyoon and Cube still really unable to find a way in. Hook goes down onto the Braum as the charm goes wide. Teleport coming in on the backside here as Taeyoon and Cube are still cut off. Monki going to get into the backside here, but Peyz a culling right in the face. Taeyoon to the backside. They managed to find Peyz, but guess what? Now Taeyoon's stuck with Scout and missing. He's got to flash away. Other side of the fight, Vampire going down to Shun. And now Karis is stuck in the middle of 4 members trying to get over to the rest of his team and can't land the charm on the Scout. Trying to get good damage in, but Monki goes down. And now Karis and Taeyoon are backed into a corner on the wrong side of the tracks with the Wolves and JDG chasing them down and the turrets and the Realm Warp. And Karis will fall to Allah. He's got 4 kills. Shun's got 3 kills. And JDG are dominating.
WE, I appreciate it. We talked about them going over the top, right? Their ability to access the backline, and they did find Peyz. But after that, they weren't able to find anyone else. JD Gaming, they were the ones that were stuck together, and Allah getting even more gold in his pockets. As the little bit of dis-synergy there, I don't like how Vampire played this early fight. He lost a lot of his health and then was able to get a really good ultimate down, and a lot was burned to get onto Peyz. And once Taeyoon's back here, like, how can we really play the fight out if Karis isn't immediately following? Yes, they try and catch Shun, but there's not even close to being enough damage to get through them. I think that if he used his first ult cast to try and getting down to Scout earlier, maybe there's a play for WE. But Karis being delayed and chasing there and helping out his overextended teammates, it enabled JD Gaming to actually resync on up and make this look like a very one-sided fight, as they also get the objective in the picture-in-picture to get back to live on the map. And yeah, WE falling a little bit further behind in the game, but we don't like their scaling. Yeah,
the synergy was just not there for them, right? It felt like, Taeyoon and Monki get in there, and it's like, well, wait, where are the rest of our dive buddies? Well, Cube isn't able to do anything on the backside. As you said, Karis couldn't get through. And the big charge coming in, and here come the grubbies. Twitch chat, yes, Twitch chat helping out JDG, trying to take down these turrets. Taeyoon and Vampire, there's not really too much they can do. They are going to land a hook down on the missing. But, I mean, Vampire just takes half his HP for it. Karis coming up through the side. It feels like Team WE are trying to get a little bit desperate here. Monki does have a second knock up there. Only going to use it to disengage, though, as JDG continue their onslaught.
Yeah, Karis wasn't able to sync up his charm with the CC and didn't want to cast his ultimate to reposition. So that's just going to be a couple ults burn, another turret falling. As the lead grows for JD Gaming. Alba also has been at the top side on the turret to see if he's able to knock down this turret as Cube is rotating to try and protect it. But JD Gaming, a much better look for them, and I really like what they did in the early game this time around. It felt like Shun and Scout had a much better idea of how to play this game out, and Awa, just solo, has played this lane very well.
Yep, he's done so much work here. He forces the flash out of Cube, but guess what? There's a bit of a problem as the charm comes out, and they will be able to get the shutdown, and it goes over to Cube. That could be big. Karis going to look for a little bit more here. Don't know how much more he's actually going to get other than that Blood Rose. Now Team WE are looking to knock down this turret. Missing in Peyz in the rough.
I don't think Cube had the flash there. As, fight continues, missing. Gonna hop over, but charge follows. He cleared a lot of space. He's got Ghost going right now, thanks to the spellbook.
Jeez, yeah, that guy
Santa's behind
right now.
Yeah.
He's going everywhere, man. He is dropping presence off literally everywhere. Scout on this bottom side. He's gonna knock down this turret. And it looks like JDG, they might be able to get this top lane turret if they really want it. Looks like they'll elect to move their bot lane elsewhere.
You know, I think if that Santa Braum skin actually pops Ghost, he should have Rudolph appear.
That would be so cool.
Yeah, just
Riot, please.
There, Riot. I know that he has the reindeer when he's getting out of base with the home guards, but I think we might need a Rudolph for whatever godforsaken reason we have a problem with Ghost. I think that Cube actually played this out pretty well besides the flash. Like the bait in, I don't think he needs to flash that. Yes, he gets away from some of the damage, but this charm from Karis is beautiful. Of course, the hitbox from the minions, so it gets visually moved, but it doesn't move until they actually hit the wave. So I think that's why it looks a little bit goofy. But Karis is able to pick that one up. And yeah, that's a
Ari's
really
just
nice
that
find.
charming, man. What can you say? Dragon
TP
started
down.
up here.
Yeah,
for
soul
Team
point.
WE. Yeah, they're looking to
Deny
break
it.
the dragon stacking here, but it looks like JDG, they're not overly concerned about this, to be quite honest with you. They're going to head up toward this Otacon. Alla's going to get the solo gold for this turret. And overall, this is still a very positive play for JDG.
I like this call a lot from JD Gaming. They saw Ari TP down, and they understand that Cube has a TP, but Ari actually go respond to Allah. So Team WE, their only solution after this is just to drop it. We'll pick up the mid outer, but JD Gaming getting Otacon is going to be strength the rest of the game. As that buff's a nice one.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's not much that Team WE can really do, right? Obviously, you have to prevent that dragon from going the other way. And I mean, hey, you know, credit to them. They were able to take 2 turrets on top of this.
Oh, I guess they can't fight because Karis is top. Man, if Karis had a TP, I mean, they could have had a numbers advantage. Because, of course, they would have gotten the global notification that Shun was finishing up that Otacon, which he was able to secure. But, I mean, at least WE, by committing to dropping that, they were able to pick up multiple turrets. Karis not going to be able to clean up this top outer turret as that one is still standing, and the gates are up. So Shun, yeah, on the fast port, he's actually going to contest these topside camps. We'll see if he's found.
Looks like Karis is on the way.
He's playing defense.
Yeah, good job here from the Ari. Just
this
trying
is nice.
To force him out of there. This Monki is out as well. Shun forced a flash over the wall. Karis is going to chase after him. He's going to land the charm too. Here we go. See if Team WE can get close. No, Monki is forced off. Now Karis is stuck in the pit alone. He's got a flash over, but he gets knocked up and gunned down by the culling. And it's a disaster of a play for Team WE's mid laner.
I really like the ult to try and get the flash. The ult cast to get over the wall was a little
here we
Monki
go.
wants it. Oh,
that's all you can do. Go for it. Peyz manages to escape. Taeyoon's full HP, and he manages to flash away. Cube trying to do big things here as Shun is well protected, and so is Allah. They just can't do damage to these guys because of their abilities. And now Taeyoon is getting hopped on. He's got to try to cook, but he's run out of room, and he will fall as well. JDG are running over Team WE in this game, and Cube is next. That is an ace for JDG.
I think Karis is very fake in this composition. I really like Lucian Braum into this pick. Like how is Karis supposed to interact if she gets any stacks of Braum passive on her? With how quickly JD Gaming can pop that. And that attempt on the re-engage from Monki, I mean, you're down in Ari, so you're fighting down numbers, and it felt like a bit of desperation. It's not like we love this scaling at Team WE, but I don't know if this was the best time to pull the trigger. As again, Karis, like, he's just trying to bait the flash out, was able to get it. Going over the wall there, like, he doesn't have Monki following. I think if Monki directly goes over the wall, maybe they're able to find him. Because Taeyoon get within the Crescent Guard, but then they're down numbers. And as, Karis goes down, we're going to see Vampire catch another wall as he tried to follow this one up.
Oh, picture in picture. Let's see what's going on here. Is
goodbye,
Monki is going to go down as now Peyz and Missing are running this game. Yep. Peyz finally starting to get on the scoreboard here because his team's been cooking so hard. He's got his 3rd kill of the game. Cubby, I don't necessarily blame Team WE for the desperation, but it feels like it's all over but the crying at this point. It's just such a large, insurmountable lead for Team WE. Let's call it what it is, man, because they don't have the scaling on their side. They don't have the right now on their side, and we might just be looking forward to game 3.
You know, at least by winning game 1 and dropping game 2, they still have advantage in the series because they get side select for game 3, Yanni.
Yeah, but hear me out. What if they just won game 2?
I'd throw a fit. That'd be demoralizing if they did.
Well, it seems like a bit of a better strategy, Cubby.
Yeah, I don't think it's doable.
All right, let's see if Team WE can make anything happen here, but Cube can't even get in there with this Counter-Strike because there's nobody to jump on.
Oh,
Scout's going to flash forward and look to finish off Karis as Ala picks up kill number 7. Everybody on JDG firing on all cylinders here in Game 2. This is the JDG that we expected to see. Shun and Scout doing a lot early on to drive this team forward.
Shun was a beast this game. Again, he flipped that topside play. I know Allah has all the kills on the scoreboard, but I think that Shun's the MVP as he picks up yet another kill on JD Gaming. Just dismantling Team WE in this one. Is this, again, what we kind of expected coming into the day, Yanni, just given that Team WE as a team coming into the day. They were 5-28 against teams above them in the standings and 0-11 in those series played. The fact they netted game 1 against JD Gaming was a bit of a surprise. The majority of us had this as a 3-0 or 3-1. But, yeah, again, as we're rolling throughout this, JD Gaming, I think that this is at least... You're hoping that they go further than this series, right? If you're a real JD Gaming fan, I mean, there are real expectations on the shoulders of this team. I feel like positives for this one. Shun played a great map, and to see Scout also get early impact off. I do know that Scout's a good Rise player, but again, seen in previous games in playoffs where Scout has been a little bit desynced with his team. This has been JDG fully in sync in this map.
Yeah, we'll see if they're able to carry this momentum over to the next game. We still need to see them finish off this one and just put the finishing touches on. With Baron up, it appears that that will be the move here as Peyz and Scout are there. There's a ward on it, so I assume we'll see Team WE's last stand here as they walk their way in. Only 4 members on this Baron, but guess what? It is already gone, baby. That is JDG draped in purple. Don't go for the dragon. Just end the game, JDG. Come on.
I just can't believe that it was Kaisa drafted into Gwenzin Rise topside. I feel like that needs to be studied.
I mean, it was a first pick Kaisa, right? Like this is
like you see the rise, and like we talked about Xin being up. I think that Zin's ability to play into this champ is really strong. Just with the Crescent Guard and the knock up. I think the Braum ban was a big miss. They didn't think that missing your JD Gaming would pull it out, or maybe just weren't expecting it. And I mean, yeah, all Team WE can do is really take inventory and wait for Game 3. This is a very one-sided game,
too. Your last chance, Team WE. Let's see what you got. They're going to go all in on Ala. He's going to go golden. Down goes Vampire. The culling is out there, and now it's a 4v4. They managed to hang tight for at least the moment here. Keep going to land another stun as these turrets, these structures are still going down. They're not able to chop down the health bars of JDG. Next is exposed, and it looks like Peyz is not interested in ending the game quite yet. We'll dash to the side after they find the kill on Ala and say, okay, guys, that scared me just enough. We will end this game, and we will even up the series at 1 apiece.
Yeah, that was a bit of a beatdown right there. As, man, wasn't expecting that one. Or were we?
Well, that's a great point, right? Because after the first game, I don't think I was really expecting that. I think that
I was not expecting game 1. I was expecting game 2 to be like
game 1.
2 out of 3 games of this series, because it was only going 3 games, and then one game might be close. Yeah,
how difficult is it for a team to really like switch gears like that in the middle of a series, right? Where you just see them kind of look listless and lifeless in game 1, and sometimes it feels like after that they get into game 2 and they lock back in, right? The good teams, the teams that you expect with these high-level players, they're just like, all right, we messed up in the first game. It's back to our regularly scheduled programming. And again, it just feels like Team WE, they're losing resources through Fearless so hard in that first game and in the second game. It's only going to get harder for there.
Yeah, Taeyoon 8-4 on the Kaisa for like a middle-of-the-pack team, right? It's a pretty good record. I think that that was not a good game for Kaisa. Again, I think the draft for JD Gaming, they were way ahead in that draft. I really like the Lucian Braum bot lane. We have really seen LCK. We've seen them playing a lot of Lucian Braum and a lot of Lucian with tanks, whereas LPL was very much refusing to do that and kind of using Lucian to get an Enchantress game out. That's a great game for Lucian Braum. And I felt like WE, they self-counterpicked themselves in like mid with the Ahri and bot by taking Nautilus into that Lucian Braum to play the comp. And when you lose lane like that and lose the first couple of skirmishes and fights, it can get really hard. And we definitely saw that game be really hard for Team WE.
Yeah, it was pretty impossible to play after the early goings, and a lot of that had to do with as we said earlier, Shun, right? Shun making that big play up top, finding that counter gank. Many will say that Scout Shun is the best duo. No, Scout Peyz is, or sorry, Shun Peyz is. Maybe it's actually Shun Olive, you know, coming up, helping out his bro up there, making sure he gets the lead. And we saw him do a lot, and the only reason why Allah isn't going to get MVP this game is just because Shun did so much.
Yeah.
At least not get MVP from us.
I
can't necessarily speak on anything else.
Yeah, I'm giving that MVP to Shun. I thought he was really good in this game. Really read the map well. Again, those early dragon timers and the kind of slingshotting himself back in, which was good for JDG. And JDG can be really happy with how they play that one out. Again, I felt like they had a really big edge in draft, but you kind of felt that way in game 1 too, Yanni. And that didn't go their way. Of course, onus of execution was really on them in game 1. This time around, a lot of scaling elements they could lean on. And that winning bot lane, you can see Peyz pumping out the damage. I really like Lucian Braum into Kai'Sa. You make Kai'Sa feel really bad, just because you don't have the range, and then you can't get through the Braum, because he just throws up the shield and like half your damage is taken away. And then Lucian's just pumping out like double taps, popping Winter's Bite, and things get pretty grim down there. So really like the draft from JD Gaming.
Yeah, and you know, that's a really key answer, Cubby, mostly because, you know, we talked about it earlier on. These are some of the best champions for that bot lane, right? You know, this is the combo that they like to play. Taeyoon has been so good on this Kai'Sa. Vampire has been pretty good on the Nautilus at times. We had a couple of oopsies in this game, but, you know, it was difficult to play out with going up against the Gwen and, of course, the Braum, as you mentioned. It was just really a phenomenal answer out of the JDG squad to answer on B4 and B5 with Lucian Braum, just to really shut down anything that Team WE were going to do, because if they have a weaker bot lane, maybe this is a different game, right? Because maybe Taeyoon and Vampire have the ability to kind of cook a little bit more in the mid game, and they really were not given any opportunities.
Yeah, I think WE also kind of beat themselves. I saw Vampire hook a wall like 3 times. This fight was one of them.
Couple of oopsies.
So that's not good either. Like, this is a flash dredge line into a wall. Or a
Listen,
blast
it's
cone.
a fat hook, bro. Like,
I mean, that's not great. And this fight was a 5v4 or 4v5 to begin with. So, anyway, Shun continues to look
I didn't
really
think it could be that bad. I didn't think it was that. I didn't think it was actually that bad.
It's pretty bad.
And then I saw it.
Yeah, and then look at you know, Kai'Sa's ability to play the game. Obviously, we've seen Kai'Sa getting corralled in a lot of these fights.
Where is it? I can't see it.
It's not there. So back to the drawing board for Team WE. I am curious. I thought that game 1, even though I did like JDG's draft, like we did say that WE had a way to play that one out, a win con to get back in. This one we really didn't see it. Like once top lane was kind of flipped around, I feel like Jax had to be that person that, you know, you're playing Jax into a Winter's Bite, into a Lucian, into a Xin Zhao. That counter strike could be really valuable once Alma got behind. I felt like there was really no, Alma got ahead and Cube got behind. There's really no hope for Team WE. So curious to see what they draw up in game 3, because I do feel like this draft was pretty grim for them.
And one thing that we mentioned that, you know, he's kind of escaped lane a little bit, Karis, who, you know, on this Ahri was expected to kind of be able to make moves, move around the map a little bit with Monki. We did say that he needed to be able to do that early on and make the first move before Scout and really kind of get ahead of this scaling team comp of JDG, and it just never happened, man. I mean, he was essentially just shoved in a lot of the time, little later rotations, was there in a side lane, and then when team fights happened, you know, we call back to that team fight that happened near the Rift Herald, right, where he's just kind of lost in space on an island between a rock and a hard place, unable to help his team from there. And, you know, that's where we really felt that was the big fight that was like, wow, Team WE is now really far behind, and the champions and the players that you'd expect to be able to help out in those fights were unable to do any assistance there, weren't able to help Taeyoon be his most aggressive self, and overall a disappointing performance, specifically out of Karis here. We need to see something a little bit more from him. You know, we saw in game 1, he was pretty much unbothered. They put a lot of resources into him. They gave him a lot of spacing. But, you know, now the question is, like, what champions is he going to be able to do this on, right? You know, the Ryze is gone, the Talia's gone, the Azir's gone. You know, now we're starting to get into his Aurora, his Sylas, his Victor, potentially, for things that we could look out for in the next game. Shun, our MVP,
No
our
brainer.
MVP here, their MVP there. Listen, no arguments, my friend. No arguments. Look at Secret Agent GG.
No brainer. Yeah, he was Secret Agent that game. Yeah, and for Karis, I do think a lot of his champs are actually narrowed up. So I'm with you. I'm curious to see where that goes. I think a lot of eyes for me going to be on Annie next game, as Annie, a champion that is really, really strong. Not quite as strong on the 11 patch she was on the 10 patch, but definitely one that we could see get played. So have to have our eyes out for that, as we do feel like JD Gaming might have a few more champs in their pool, but we'll have to see if they can execute upon that, because that has been where they struggled going up against Weibo. And hey, they did botch a couple of those later drafts too, Yanni. So I feel like this was kind of a botched draft for Team WE. It's, again, really committed hard to play their style. Didn't pay off, and gonna have to see what they bring out for game 3.
We'll have to see if Team WE have any secret sauce that we might not know about that they'll be able to pull out, because this match is going to be one that determines the rest of the series. The game 3 always so critical. Cubby, we're going to take a short break, and when we return, we will get into the game 3 draft and see who takes control of the series. Will it be JDG? Will it be Team WE? We'll find out in probably, like, what, 50 minutes? See you on the other side.